Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound podcast, best bets video for UFC Rio. Oliveira taking on Gamrot in the main event. And as always, we're here to talk money lines, props, and parlays. And as always, if you're enjoying the content here on the Ground and Pound podcast, hit that like and subscribe button as we talk about the first bet on the board, the slam of the week, my most confident play on the entire card, the one that I put the most money on every week. And kicking things off in the first leg, we're going to dive right in. We've got Joel Alvarez. How can we not be confident in Joel Alvarez this week, taking on Vicente Luque? We've seen with Vicente Luque, he's taken a lot of damage over the course of his career, and I think that Joel Alvarez is just going to be far too much for him here, even at 170. He's got fantastic submissions, front chokes. We've seen Vicente Luque get caught up in the scrambles before and get choked out with darces and anacondas. We've seen as well that Joel Alvarez at 6'3", his reach, his striking is definitely something to be wary of, and I think that he's going to cause a whole lot of problems here for Vicente Luque. I think he finds the finish inside the distance here. Joel Alvarez, first leg here of the slam of the week. And for the second leg, we've got Walter Walker, the right side of the Walker brothers here. He's been on an absolute tear as well. 3 heel hook victories. I don't want to ride any other momentum than the Walker train. To be honest with you, Muhammad Usman has good takedown defense overall. I don't think this is necessarily going to be a first round submission victory here. But who knows? We've been wrong in the past. Walter Walker's been on a tear. But Muhammad Usman's really just a guy who fights behind a jab. Not a whole lot of power coming back Walter Walker's way on the feet. I think he's going to be able to mix in the grappling here. Either way, I think he gets this one done via submission or by a decision. But either way, I'm very confident in him. That's why he's going to be the second leg here in the slam of the week. And for the third leg, to round everything out, we've got Vitor Petrino. Vitor Petrino should walk over here. Thomas Peterson, he's the much better athlete, the much more talented fighter. Thomas Peterson's get undersized at heavyweight, more of a fat, doughy guy. And when you look at the skill set here of Petrino, he can grapple, he can outmuscle his opponents. He's got power in the hands, and I think he's always improving. And I think that Anthony Smith performance definitely humbled him. He came back in his previous fight and mixed in the grappling. I like what I saw in that previous fight, and I do think here that he's going to be the much faster, more athletic striker. And if he wants to mix in the takedowns and bully Peterson, I think he can do that too. And that rounds out the slam of the week, sitting at around even money. I like this one to get it done this week for the Rio card. And as always, if you're enjoying the content and you intend to tail, let us know in the comments section. Hit that like and subscribe button for that slam of the week. And for the second bet on the board here, we have the chalk parlay. Some of our more confident favorites parlayed together here to get us even money. And for this first leg, we've got Lucerda taking on Oliveira. I like Lucerda in this matchup. I think that he should be the rightful favorite. He has a BJJ black belt in Muay Thai, black belt in kickboxing. And even though he is coming off of a 2-year layoff, he should be the rightful favorite overall as the more well-rounded fighter. I don't think his opponent, Oliveira, is UFC level. I think that he should be able to get this one done on the feet with the kicks. He's the much harder hitting puncher as well. And I think if the fight hits the mat, the black belt will come in handy to be able to defend off, or at least be competent enough in the grappling here to defend off some of the Oliveira's grappling. So give me Lucerda here for the first leg of our chalk parlay. And for the second leg here, we have Mosquera. She's an impressive grappler. She trains over at American Top Team, obviously making her UFC debut. She's a big, strong girl, very physically dominant. Once she gets you to the mat, she's competed in very high-level grappling tournaments. I think she can definitely find the submission here against Arina Alexieva, who's a little bit wild. She tends to overextend on her punches, which are going to really set up the takedowns here for Mosquera. I like her to get this one to the ground and ultimately find some sort of finish, whether that be ground and pound or submission here. But give me Mosquera here to round out or at least cap off the second leg of our chalk parlay. And for the third leg here, who doesn't like a Julia Palostri fight? She's definitely a woman to watch inside this division. She's always game. She should be able to really just outstrike Karolina Kowalkiewicz. This is just going to be a back-and-forth striking affair that I think that Palostri is just going to be more athletic, much faster, the younger fighter, definitely somebody that's game and trades inside the pocket. This one might even not necessarily even need the judges. I think Palostri could definitely find a finish here, but I like her for the third leg here of the chalk parlay to round it out, getting us to even money. I like this bet this week. I definitely think that these are some of the favorites to look out for and definitely parlay together to get some value. And for our first money line play, we got to look for the main event here between Charles Oliveira and Mateusz Gamrot. Gamrot taking this fight on short notice, replacing Rafael Fiziev. Charles Oliveira on a full camp. And you have to think this is going to be some grappling involved. We know with Gamrot, he likes to mix in the wrestling. He likes to look to get fights to the ground. We know that Charles Oliveira has high-level BJJ, always live for a submission. Even in the fight against Aaran Sarukian, Oliveira had him in a tight guillotine on multiple occasions. Charles obviously a finisher on the feet, very nice striking as well. And I just think this one's fight's going to come down to the fact that Oliveira is going to be on a full camp. I think there's value here in him, even sitting at at about even money. You might be able to find a better line if you do your line shopping, sitting at around -110. I believe I saw on some of the betting odds. But I like Oliveira right up to -150 this week. On a full camp, he's the more dangerous striker. He's fought the higher level opponents. He's got good grappling. Realistically, Gamrot has got to be able to take Oliveira down and lay in his guard for 5 straight rounds, or at least 3 rounds, in order for him to win this fight. And I think Oliveira's got one of the most dangerous guards inside of the UFC. I don't see Gamrot being able to get out of this fight without really overcoming some adversity. Combine that with a full camp for Oliveira and a short notice step up for Gamrot. I like Oliveira here, especially at these odds. I think if you were getting him, -200, I would say it's kind of out of the price range. But I think when he was sitting here at about even money for Oliveira, he's always live for a submission. He's always live for the knockout. I like Charles to get this one done, especially in Brazil. And next up, we have Davidson Figueiredo +3.5 on the spread. I think this line's far too wide. If you look at Montel Jackson, he has fought the lower level of competition. Granted, he's looked very impressive when doing so, but this is a big step up here. Davidson Figueiredo, a future Hall of Famer, former champion. The guy can wrestle. The guy can strike. He's fast on the feet. His move up from the lower weight class up here to 135, I definitely think has served him well. And I think here that if we really look at it, he only needs to be able to win one round here. As long as he could lose 29-28 on the judges' scorecards, and this bet would still hit for us sitting at around +100. I do think Montel Jackson is a very athletic, tough, durable guy. He can mix in wrestling, but when you look at the how far and how wide these odds are, I think there's value here for Figueiredo to be able to win one round, sitting at +100. As I said, he just needs to win a round for this bet to cash. So give me Davidson Figueiredo here at +100. And the +3.5 here on the spread. I like this bet. I think that there's value to be had in the future UFC Hall of Famer. And for our third money line play here, we've got Lucas Almeida sitting at +125. And when you look at this matchup here with Aswell, I don't really understand why Almeida is the underdog here. If you look at Michael Aswell, what's he done to be the favorite? He's gone into Contender Series. He's lost on Contender Series. He came into the UFC. He had one fight in the UFC, which he lost that. And you look at Almeida, even though he is 2-3, I believe, inside the UFC, the guy's more well-rounded. He's got Muay Thai. The guy's got more limbs to be able to throw out there. Aswell's realistically just a boxer. He's a pressure boxer, doesn't throw a ton of kicks, doesn't mix in a ton of takedowns. Almeida can submit you. He can throw elbows, knees. He's got kicks at range. He's got boxing. And he's more well-rounded and fought the higher level guys inside the UFC. So to get him here, the Brazilian in Brazil as well, more ways to win the fight, more weapons. I like Lucas Almeida here at sitting at plus money, just based on the value. Don't get me wrong, Aswell looked impressive. His boxing is good. However, Almeida's going to be throwing kicks. He's going to be throwing elbows, knees in the clinch. He's the bigger, taller guy as well. Give me Lucas Almeida here, sitting at plus money to get this one done. And when we talk about plus money, we always have to talk about the dog of the week, my favorite betting underdog on the entire UFC Rio card. And if you haven't seen it already, this week's dog of the week is Stuart Nickel to get this one done. Full highlight reel tape on the channel with a full breakdown of why I like him as my favorite betting underdog, sitting at plus 100. I think we cash. We look to make it 3 in a row this week for the dog of the week. And before we wrap things up, we've got to talk props here on the channel. And we have Con Offley. These are both flyers. I just want to put that one out there. These are absolute flyers this week, based on the number, not based on the likelihood. And we've got Con Offley sitting at plus 1,000 for a first round submission here against Ricardo Ramos. We know that Con Offley has good jiu-jitsu. We know that Ramos has been guillotined multiple times inside the first round. It's been his Achilles heel. And I do think sitting at plus 100 here for a guy that's going going to look to grapple, that's got good BJJ. I think there's value to be had here for Ramos. He's not the most consistent fighter, even though he is a Brazilian fighting on this Brazilian card, and I did pick him to win inside the full card breakdown this week. I don't necessarily trust him. I'm not super confident, and I think this number is definitely a live option, especially for a little sprinkle here, sitting at plus 1,000. Round one submission for Offley, and we might even throw in the guillotine there. I think he's going to get it done by guillotine if he does. We know that Ramos has been guillotined multiple times. The likelihood is there. So give me Offley here to get this one done by round one submission plus 1,000. And we also have Charles Oliveira. And the way I see this fight going realistically is Gamrot is going to mix in a lot of wrestling. And I could definitely see a path of victory for Charles here, where Charles is defending takedowns early in this fight. Gamrot pushes a pace with his wrestling. He starts to get tired. He starts to shoot sloppy takedowns. And all of a sudden, Charles is able to catch some sort of guillotine here. So we've got over 2.5 rounds here. Gives Gamrot time to get tired. And then Charles, by submission, sitting at around plus 750. It's like a same game parlay or a bet builder here for you guys. I think Charles is going to find some sort of late submission here as Gamrot gets tired. I'm going to say again by guillotine. I mentioned as well, both of these props are flyers based on the number. I do think that there is a world where, Offley does pull off the upset, as Ricardo Ramos is not necessarily the most consistent fighter, and I do pick Charles to win this fight. But based on these numbers, based on previous results and previous fights, I like both of these numbers here as a sprinkle here for our best bets. And that's all we have time for, but I have to let you know what's on the channel. We have the full card breakdown for UFC Rio. Gamrot taking on Oliveira in the main event. That is live. I did that video earlier on in the week. If you're interested in every single fight and every breakdown that I have on that card, along with the dog of the week, my favorite betting underdog on this UFC Rio card, full highlight reel tape for Stuart Nickel this week, looking to make it 3 in a row for our cashing as our underdogs. And as always, if you're enjoying the content here, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.